Hey everyone, welcome to Life Reflections. Today I'm sharing a life story that might just hit home for you. If you enjoy it, give it a thumbs up, drop a comment with your thoughts, and hit that subscribe button to join me for more moments that matter. Let's dive in.
I'm Ellie Martinez, 32, a middle school art teacher, and a woman who is always second best in her family. My brother Noah? He was the golden child. Harvard Business School. A startup that's now a unicorn. The looks that make people stop on the street. And me? I've always been the background figure, the one they could rely on when they needed help, but the one they never noticed when they needed someone to care. Growing up, my life felt like a series of apologies for just not being Noah. When I got into Rhode Island School of Design, my parents skipped my orientation because Noah had a debate tournament. My first art show? They left early for a meeting about Noah's promotion. The pattern was clear. If it involved Noah, it took priority. If it didn't, I'd get a half-hearted sorry, Ellie, maybe next time. So, when I got married, I thought, this time will be different. I sent fancy invitations, called every few weeks to make sure my parents had it on their calendar. My mother even helped me pick out my wedding dress. I thought this was it. Finally, I would have my moment. But no. On the day of my wedding, my mom texted me, a casual, sorry honey, can't make it. Noah brought his girlfriend to dinner, and we lost track of time. I almost dropped my phone as I read it. On my wedding day? I had 65 guests watching me walk down the aisle, not 67. My parents' seats in the front row were glaringly empty. I couldn't stop myself from shaking. James, my soon-to-be husband, whispered to me as I stood at the altar, "Everything okay?" I forced a smile. Perfect. But nothing was perfect. This wasn't the first time. It was just the latest in a lifetime of being second place. From the time I got into RISD to every other major life event, I had always come second to Noah's achievements, his needs, and his life. After the wedding, James kept telling me, "They'll make it up to you." They always do. But this time, I was done with the expensive gifts and the hollow apologies. I didn't want gifts. I wanted them to show up. For once, I wanted to be their priority. Instead, I was always just a side note, a footnote in their lives. We went on our honeymoon to Hawaii, and I tried to focus on that. James was there for me, always understanding my pain. But I couldn't stop checking my phone, hoping my parents would at least acknowledge me. Nothing. Not a word from them, not even a like on Instagram. My mother, who never missed a comment on Noah's posts, hadn't even looked at the pictures I shared. When we got home, there was a large package waiting at our door. Inside was an espresso machine and a card from my parents, "Sorry we missed the big day. We'll explain everything over dinner next week. Love, Mom and Dad." I crumpled the card and threw it across the room. "They're lying," I told James, my voice shaking. The emergency they texted me about was Noah's dinner with his girlfriend, not some crisis. I was tired of the excuses. For the first time in my life, I stood up for myself. I declined their dinner invitation. Maybe next month was all I wrote. I turned my phone off and ignored their calls. When my mother showed up at my school 2 days later, I stayed calm and didn't give in to their guilt trip. She tried to explain. They were sorry. But I knew it wasn't about the wedding. It was about my whole life, always coming second. I blocked their numbers. I needed space. It wasn't easy. They showed up at my apartment, at my school, even at the art supply store. But I didn't respond. I needed them to feel a fraction of the hurt I had lived with. And I did feel a small sense of satisfaction watching them squirm. But mostly, I felt sadness. This wasn't how it was supposed to be. A month into our standoff, I got an email from Noah. He had never been close to me, and we only exchanged obligatory messages. But this email was different. He said, "Dad's not sleeping." Mom cried through my entire investor presentation yesterday. Whatever happened, they're sorry. I read it several times. For the first time, I understood that my parents had seen me as self-sufficient, strong, someone who didn't need them. It didn't excuse their behavior, but it helped me understand their perspective. I agreed to meet them. I set boundaries. No more manipulation, no more favoritism. When we met at a neutral coffee shop, they apologized, not just for the wedding, but for a lifetime of neglect. My father admitted, "We thought you didn't need us." We were wrong. It wasn't a magical fix, but it was a start. They acknowledged their mistakes. A few months later, my parents threw us a surprise reception, one they should have been present for in the first place. They acknowledged me, my achievements, and my strength. At that moment, I realized something. Changing the rules hadn't just transformed my relationship with them. It had transformed me. I wasn't the forgotten child anymore. I was Ellie Martinez, worthy of love, attention, and being someone's priority.
That's it for today's story on Life Reflections. I'd love to hear your take. Drop a comment below with your thoughts or a story of your own. If you enjoyed this, give a like and subscribe to keep the reflections coming. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.